Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RAMP, Real Access Motivates Progress, live Wednesday night podcast. We are here with another great episode and another great resource for you here in the state of Rhode Island and beyond. And I cannot wait to introduce you to our guest. We are talking peace of mind nannies tonight. Welcome, Taisha. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Tina.
Oh, I am so excited to tell everybody what you do and what you are all about. So I'm going to let you kick it off by telling everybody who you are and what you do.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Taisha Sanutasi, she, her pronouns. I am a short woman with brown curly hair. Today I have on gold glasses and am wearing a tan and white sweater. I'm so happy to be here. I am the founder of Peace of Mind Nannies, and we provide many services to support families with their childcare needs. We have permanent and temporary services that include nanny, babysitting, and event care. And we also provide screening services for any families that may go about the childcare search on their own. We're able to screen and vet those candidates before you ultimately hire them.
That is so exciting. How did you get this started and what gave you the idea to get this started?
Yeah, so I got Peace of My Nanny started. We just turned 3 years old, which I'm excited about. And I got the idea actually back in 2018, 2019. I was nannying and I was also working for some Medicare programs throughout the state. I was a respite worker as well as a pass worker. And I was working with families primarily that had children with disabilities. And I heard from parents how difficult it is finding childcare for their kids, particularly for families that have children with special needs. The process of actually finding a high quality person was significantly challenging, as well as finding someone that would stay long term with their child. You know, when you're talking about kids with special needs, with disabilities, that longevity really is key. And so a lot of folks were seeing a high turnover and finding it extremely challenging finding those folks. So I decided, since I worked for babysitting agencies in the past, my wheels started turning and I said, hey, why isn't there a childcare services dedicated for these families? So that's where really I just got the idea to start a nanny and babysitting agency for those parents and also for all parents, because it's hard.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a need. You know what I mean? Especially like you said, if you're on vacation and stuff like that, and you don't know anybody, you don't know anywhere, but you want to have a night out with your spouse or whatever to have that bonding time. So, how do people go about contacting you, and what can they expect when they do contact you?
Sure. So they can go about contacting me through either giving us a call. You can call me personally at 401-237-7038. Or if you prefer to check out our website first and learn more information about the process, through the website, you can also submit a booking reservation form. And so I like to share, particularly for parents that are looking to hire a nanny, whether it's someone full-time, part-time, even short-term, maybe for just a school vacation and you still need some childcare during that time, or long-term, then the process really for finding a nanny is about 4+ weeks. So I like to set that expectation up front because it takes us, especially if we are recruiting folks, it takes us 2 weeks or more to recruit some high quality candidates. Though, to note, we do have over 25 folks on our team that are already vetted, screened, ready to go. But you know, if we do need to recruit folks, it really could take upwards of 4+ weeks. Or for folks that are just looking for a babysitter, or you are having a wedding and you'd like childcare for your guests, we're also able to provide those services as well. And the turnaround for that is a week at least.
Oh, that's an amazing. So if somebody was
Hmm.
having a wedding and, people come from out of town and need to bring their kids, you provide childcare. Now, do you provide childcare at their hotel or how does that work?
Yeah, it can be at the hotel. So if it's maybe just one or two families that need childcare, we can provide that service in the hotel room. Our folks are equipped. I give them a piece of my nanny's tote bag. They have toys that they bring, Play-Doh, arts and crafts, so activities to keep the kids engaged in the hotel room. Or if it's a group of families and kids that will need childcare, then usually folks are able to set up, an alternate space that is still somewhat on site during the wedding, in a private room where we will have, 5+ sitters, and we set up, tables of all of those activities. And that really is, I find that to be the most fun. I love going to those events because especially for groups and for weddings, it's their family. And so they're cousins that haven't seen each other in a long time. And so them coming together, they're so excited and have fun. And then just having 5+ sitters in a room with different stations of arts and crafts, of board games, card games, it's a lot of fun.
That sounds amazing. I want to go and spend time in that room and not be at the wedding or whatever, because that just sounds like a lot of fun. But, you say, how do you go about your vetting process? Like, what do people have to go through? Like, how do you vet somebody? Because I know that's going to be, one of your biggest questions, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, definitely. And, we're not called peace of mind nannies for for nothing. We certainly, that vetting and screening is key. And honestly, I worked for babysitting agencies in the past where I felt like that was certainly lacking the screening process. And so for us, we're vetting folks from the start with them submitting an application, they're submitting their resume, answering some short answer questions, and that is our first snapshot into an individual. So from there, if we feel that certainly if they're qualified, so folks must have at least 1 year of professional experience working with children. So not just, babysitting for your next door neighbor or your siblings, but professional experience. Then from there, if they qualify, we will move them forward for a phone interview. We also do reference calls. We speak with at least 3 of their references and do those reference checks to really get another perspective as to how this individual was working with kids. And then they're doing a final interview with us. Lastly, they're also doing, I call it a social media sweep or an online presence check, where before we make that final offer to a person, we are checking out their social media, their online presence, and just ensuring that they are representing themselves professionally. Because at the end of the day, they're also representatives of Peace of Mind Nannies, and I certainly want to ensure that they are conducting themselves in a professional manner. And those best practices really come from the Association of Premier Nanny Agencies, which is the national organization that puts some standards in place around that vetting and screening of candidates.
That is awesome. And I love the
Mhm.
social media piece. I know, it's the unheard of interview process because I'm telling you, I know a lot of people who do interviews and they are checking out your social media. So if you're going for that big time job, if you're going for that profession, they're checking your social media. Whether you think they are or not, they're
Yes,
checking your social media. They want to know what you're putting out there. Now, do you do any
right.
kind of background check or anything on these individuals as well?
Most definitely. Yes. So ultimately, before folks work with the family, we do run a comprehensive national criminal background check. It also, it's national and it's also a county level search. Sometimes, folks can fall through the cracks if there isn't a county level search as well. So we do that in addition to a sex offender search, social security check, motor vehicle check. Most child care providers or caregivers are transporting kids, whether they're doing pick up and drop offs for daycare or school, or bringing them to after school activities. So we certainly want to make sure that the individual, the caregiver, has a clean motor vehicle check. And that includes and we also do lastly an educational screening as well. So just to ensure, if they say they have a bachelor's degree in early childhood education, we're verifying that as well.
Well, I'll tell you, Peace of Mind Nannies really stands by its name by giving you peace of mind by putting the people through what they need to be put through. But it's so true. I mean, we're entrusting our children with these people, knowing that you do all of this makes it a lot easier. Now, is there anything different that you would do to those who are taking care of the special needs children compared to the ones that are just taking care of like your regular everyday children?
Well, for special needs, for folks that have that background and experience, I mean, particularly, we are only bringing on folks that have that background and experience. I do not, they certainly go through an orientation, but I am not doing a particular, a specific training for folks to ensure that they have that expertise. And so they are already past workers or respite workers, ABA therapists, etc. So they're coming in with that experience. And again, with the reference checks, if they have that background, then we're ensuring that they're giving us references that can speak to their ability working with kids as a therapist.
Right.
Let me speak with that parent that you provided childcare for and get their insight as well.
That's great. I mean, and what people need to realize is every child, every person is different. So what one child needs, another child would need other special accommodations. So being active and being part of that family and learning what that family's needs are and that child's needs are makes all of the difference in the world.
Yes.
Now you do regular children. What is your age range of the children that you take care of?
So generally we can provide services for newborn. It ends up being, usually starting at about 3 months old when folks are going back to work after maternity leave. Usually seems to be our starting point. So about 3 months up to 21 years old. And honestly, I had started the agency with the mindset that we would serve up until about age 18. And then I was receiving numerous calls from parents saying, well, my child has, finished high school at, 19, 20, 21. Are you still able to provide services for them as well? And so that was in 2021. I decided, hey, this is a need from families as well that I wasn't privy to. And so we can certainly provide care up until age 21 for folks, because I understand at that point, families are looking for a caregiver to continue to keep their child engaged in the community. And so our caregivers are certainly equipped to do that as well.
That is incredible because I know they up the age to 22 for the schools and stuff like that. But sometimes the parents just need the peace of mind to be able to go out for a night or two and knowing that somebody responsible is in the house with their child, you know what I mean? That could pretty much do, depending on where their mentality is or what disability that they have, just might need somebody to kind of mind them to make sure that, they're taken care of and they can go out with a peace of mind. Now, do you ever take care of somebody like an older adult? Like if somebody was really stuck and, they just wanted to go out for a few hours because your workers come from the respite, do they do it for older individuals if the need was there?
Not yet, but that's I certainly plan on expanding there as well, because I know that that's a need as well. And so, yes, I certainly want to be able to support those families. So I say not yet.
Yeah, 'cause especially those who, have the onset of dementia and, Alzheimer's and stuff like that. Again, it's the peace of mind knowing somebody's with them when they have to step out or go out or need a short vacation or what have you, to just know that somebody's there. So it's always, something to have in the background.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
But I heard Peace of Mind Nannies has some great news. Do you care to share?
Yes, I am very excited since we are in year 3 of having the agency. We started in January of 2020. I am very excited because we will be expanding. So currently,
Yay!
we provide services throughout all of Rhode Island. So all the way from, Smithfield to Newport and more areas, but we will be expanding into Massachusetts. I've been getting many calls from families in Massachusetts. So I'm excited to say that we will be expanding onto the Cape from upper, mid to lower Cape, as well as Martha's Vineyard as well. So providing our temporary services on the Cape and Martha's Vineyard starting this summer, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, who doesn't want to spend their summer on the Cape? I want to help out just because I want to spend my summer on the Cape playing with kids. That would be so much fun to me. But that's, I mean, for parents who are coming down here to vacation or their summer house or what have you, you know what I mean, wanting that romantic night out or, wanting a little bit of peace of mind to go do something else would be a great idea. Now, how can people, in most of the hotels and stuff around, contact you? Does the hotels have your information or do they need to know you beforehand?
Yes, so some hotels certainly do have our information. We're building out more of those hotel partnerships on the Cape and in Martha's Vineyard. But we actually also have some partnerships already with hotels in Rhode Island. So we're partnered with 2 hotels in Newport, the Vanderbilt and the Newport Harbor Hotel. So we are their preferred childcare vendor. They will send any guests that are looking for childcare or any guests that are having events at the hotel and would like childcare. They reach out to us first, which is very exciting.
And I was just at the Newport Harbor Hotel this weekend, and it is a fully accessible hotel. I completely vetted the entire hotel. The rooms are gorgeous. My room was like a mansion suite. The closets were incredible. So definitely a great accessible hotel. So I can recommend that, especially if you're coming with a child with a special need. The hotel is ready for you. And then you could have, special peace of mind nannies coming in to help you out. So what's better than that? But will you work at every hotel, not just the ones that you're partnered with, if people were to contact you earlier?
Oh, certainly. Yes, yes. We can work at any hotel and we just ensure that before we send our folks there, if it isn't a hotel that we've worked with in the past, then we pick up the phone, make those connections, find out about parking, accessibility, to ensure that our folks are prepared to provide that child care service there. But yes, we certainly can. Any hotel.
Now that is so incredible. Now, if somebody wanted to come and be a partner with you or a worker for you or a nanny for you, how does one go about doing that and contacting you for that?
Yes, well, I'll say certainly we are always hiring. So please, if any folks they have that 1 year of professional experience, they can pass a background check and they can commit at least 1 year to our team and or working with a family, please apply. So folks can go to our website, Peace of Mind Nannies, PEACE of mindnannies.com/nannies. And that's where you can find out all of the information about our eligibility requirements, the benefits of being a part of a nanny agency. Because I'll just know, as I said, I worked privately as a nanny before, and there's nothing like having an agency that truly is advocating for you and supporting you in working with a family. Particularly if you're working in a family's home, their private home, you're isolated, right? I mean, you don't have, an HR office that you can pick up the phone and call if there's a grievance, or if you're working with a child with disabilities or not, and you're just having challenges on keeping them engaged or, learning, growing, folks can always pick up the phone and call me. And so I think that's the benefit for any caregivers or childcare providers that are considering being a part of a nanny agency, that is the number one benefit. So please go to our website. The application is embedded right on the website. Folks can apply, and I'll be in touch with them within 48 hours.
And that's the same process for those who want to book you for an event or a wedding or just to be a nanny or, a night out or whatever, correct?
Yes, instead of /nannies, just go to peaceofmynannies.com, and then there's a families tab. You can click either short-term or long-term services that you're seeking, and that booking reservation form is embedded on the website as well.
And I just posted that website in the chat down below, so you'll be able to get that. It took me a little while because I can't spell tonight for some reason. But it is in the chat, so you can always just click on that link below. But what are some of your tell us some of your success stories that you've had with some of your clients?
Yeah, so I have a client that is down in South County. They were looking for, they have a 6-year-old boy who is special needs, and they were seeking someone particularly for after school care part-time. And so the mom had shared same thing, significant challenges with finding someone, especially someone long-term. She was a bit apprehensive, had never worked with an agency before, but had heard about us. And so we were able to set up 2 interviews with some caregivers that, even though folks have been vetted and screened by us, we highly encourage and recommend that families are also interviewing those candidates as well, because just because they're a good fit for our agency doesn't exactly mean they're the best fit for your child, your children. And so they went through the interview process. They did a trial period with one of the candidates. So essentially, a trial period is your interview part 2. Now they've invited this person into their home to fully vet and screen them and see ultimately how they are at working with their child. And it worked out beautifully. They ended up hiring this person, and the mom has shared extensively how she feels like this nanny has become a part of her family, how much care she takes into her job working with her son. She, has shared, there are some days that are really challenging, and this nanny shows up, every single time, is prepared, and comes up with some really fun, engaging activities to get him going. So that is a beautiful success story for me when we're able to meet a family's needs, particularly when they have a child with special needs. I understand that there's that apprehension, but that worked very well. And then another success story is an individual up in Northern Rhode Island who was looking for a full-time nanny, and she needed someone yesterday. So we were able to set up some interviews. They did a trial period, and they ended up hiring a fantastic individual who has extensive teaching experience. And due to COVID, which is a trend that I've seen, many of those teachers, whether elementary school or daycares, some of those folks just haven't felt comfortable going back into that group setting of childcare. So instead, they've opted to be a nanny and work one-on-one or one-on-two with kids. And so this individual had that experience teaching, and also one of the children may have some disabilities that they've been going through. And so she also had that background as well. And so really that mother has really shared how incredible this nanny has been at keeping her kids engaged full time.
Yeah, that is amazing, because you have somebody to hold accountable. You have somebody helping you through the process. But I do like what you said, that as well as you interview, just because you like somebody, me and you get along, doesn't mean that somebody else is going to get along or jive with the two of us. So, interviewing, a couple of different people and doing that trial period is so important.
Yes.
One of the questions I have in the chat, they're asking if one of the children has a special needs and others do not. Are the nannies very well with switching back and forth to making sure that all the children are engaged and feeling happy? Can you handle that?
Oh, definitely. Sure. In the former scenario that I just shared, the full-time nanny, they're twins and one may have a disability. They're still figuring that out, but has some challenges and the other does not. And sure, yes, I say that our team is about 50-50. Folks that have that experience and folks that don't. Folks that have that experience are also certainly well prepared and equipped to work with typically developed children as well.
That is amazing. There's just so much that you do, and I just love what you do because it's such a need. And like I said, we're taking care of our children. You know what I mean? There's nothing more special or nerve-wracking to a mom or a single dad or a couple, leaving their child, especially if it's a special needs child, with somebody that they can count on. But for all of the tactics that you take and all of the precautions that you take, it's truly a peace of mind nannies. Like, I truly get the title, because there isn't anything that anybody could want.
Hmm.
What are we missing? What
Well,
haven't we talked about yet?
well, I'll share, particularly in Rhode Island, we are the only agency that's specializing in care of these children. So I have that experience. I am passionate about ensuring that parents have high quality childcare. So we're it. We're the only kid on the block. So give us a call. Also, I'll share that one of the other reasons that I certainly wanted to start this agency, as I shared briefly, I worked for babysitting agencies in the past in Rhode Island, and I felt that certainly the screening and also the diversity of folks just wasn't there. And so certainly being, a woman of color, I feel passionately that the diversity of our team is really going to enrich the experience that families and clients will receive from Peace of Mind Nanny. So we have a diverse team of caregivers by experience. So yes, folks may have that teaching background or they've worked in after school programs across the state, also by age and by gender identity and more. So that's something that I am particularly committed to, is ensuring that we have that diversity of thought, of experience to really elevate, what families receive from these caregivers.
That is incredible. You know what I mean? You don't see that. And again, Ramp is the only one doing what we do, so it only makes sense to partner with somebody like you who does what you do. And
Mm,
just because it's a wedding or at a hotel, I'm sure that you could go into any kind of events if somebody's having a reunion or a 50, if it's not at a hotel, if it's at a restaurant or a venue, I'm sure you could work that out as well so that the kids are out, because the kids don't want to hang out with a bunch of adults. They don't.
no,
And you're not going to have a good time, you know what I mean, with them there and watching them. They don't want to hang out with a bunch of adults.
right.
So, make sure that you're calling Taisha and making sure that you're, you know what I mean, getting in there for those kind of things. But like I said, I mean, there's so many people I see on Facebook, that people will throw like care.com and that kind of stuff. This is personalized. This is one-on-one. This is people with backgrounds of children of all different things. You couldn't get a better way of vetting people or knowing children or knowing the needs of your child than going with special needs nannies. Peace of mind nannies. I don't know why I renamed you, but my mind was going
No.
one place.
It's okay. But yes, I mean, to speak to the care.com or, Sitter City, there are certainly, platforms that parents can use. But I'll say that I'm receiving those calls calls from parents that have tried going about this search on their own. The demand is so high in Rhode Island and honestly nationally since COVID, and the supply is low, particularly in Rhode Island. And so by having an agency, like you said, with the personalized, dedicated touch, we are finding those high quality folks, because I have heard so many stories from parents saying, I set up 3 interviews, only one person showed up, and they weren't high quality, and they didn't jive well with my child. I didn't feel comfortable with them. And so it's challenging now. Please give us a call, because we can help you. We understand how challenging this landscape is, and we're equipped to be able to support you.
Yeah. And if you want a day at the beach this summer, and you wanted to go like for a walk and leave your child, call me first and then call Taisha, because I would very happily sit on the beach with somebody. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I will go sit on the beach, but you don't want me to watch your child because I can't go too far on the beach. The sand in my wheelchair do not
Oh,
jive.
yes.
But there's just so many different reasons why. Now, one of the questions that I'm getting, and I know this is a touchy subject, but we're going to ask it anyway, is how is the pay, the rate compared to like others? Like, what is somebody looking at, like ballpark, if you can give that?
Yes. Oh, of course. Sure. And going with an agency, there are agency fees, but I think this person is referring to the caregiver's pay. And so the starting rate in Rhode Island is about $20 an hour for someone that just has that 1 year of experience. And I've seen it go as high as $30+ an hour. So if you have multiple kids, children with disabilities, then that rate can certainly be, I would say the average is really $25 to $30 an hour. So it
And
is.
what is the client looking at? Like, what is some of the prices for the client's side?
So the client would be paying the caregiver directly. And so actually one piece that I'll note to that, and then I'll talk about the agency fees, is that if this is an unknown fact, I feel, in Rhode Island and nationally, if you are hiring a caregiver, a nanny for your child, any domestic worker, if they are earning more than $2,600 in a calendar year, so this year for 2023, that individual must be paid legally on the books. So I share that. In working with an agency, we are partnered with some industry specialists, payroll companies that can hold your hand and ensure that you are fulfilling the requirements federally as well as here in Rhode Island. So in Rhode Island, that also means that they are receiving workers' compensation as well, insurance. So if anything happens on the job, they have that workers' comp. So that's an additional fee that I can certainly support folks with, but with the payroll companies we're partnered with, some of those fees are waived. So I want to note that. And then for the agency fees, I'll be honest, and working and utilizing a nanny agency or hiring a nanny, it is the most expensive form of childcare. You are finding a caregiver that is working one-on-one, supporting your child's growth and development. That's the difference between a nanny and a babysitter. A nanny is a child care specialist that is supporting your child's development over the years. And so, in working with a nanny agency, we have a membership fee and a placement fee. And that cost, if you're hiring a nanny specifically, that cost could be in the thousands. I say it may range from I'll say it starts at about $2,000 or $1,500. And for a babysitter, I mean, that fee is much less, and for event care, much less, but nannying being the most expensive.
Now, are there any offsetting prices, especially if it's a special needs child, that can, like any respite money or anything that people can use or tap into to offset those costs?
Not yet. Again, that's certainly part of my strategic plan for the future, to serve older folks and to also be able to offset that cost through insurance. So that is the process that we're looking into, but not yet.
Yeah, but no respite thing
No,
either.
and actually, technically for respite, since I have been a respite provider before through a local nonprofit, specifically respite notes that it cannot be used for babysitting specifically. So I'm figuring out some ways around that, but technically respite, they do not define as babysitting.
Right. Okay, like I said, I mean, these are the questions that the people want to know.
Oh, of
So
course.
it's so great that you're upfront and totally an open book, full transparency. This is what people need to see. This is what people get. They get honesty, they get transparency. They get to meet you, they get to know you. They know that you background check and fully vet everyone that's going to walk into their home, and that they have options, that if this one person that walked into their home it's not working out, they can always switch it up
Hmm.
with somebody
Exactly.
else. Just approach
Right.
it from a pot. But I say that, but I want people to approach that from a positive point of view. Just because you don't vibe with somebody, or they may not be able to vibe with your child, don't go out of your way to put a bad review or something about it. Just means that that person may not vibe with your family. Somebody else may, and they may vibe very well with somebody else's family. Make sure you're bringing those concerns to Taisha, to the agency, because you don't want to ruin somebody's credit when they just may not have understood or didn't vibe with your family. So I always say that with caution, because I always like to approach things from a positive point of view, um, because you never know how things. Do you want to say anything on
Oh,
that as well?
oh yes, definitely. And also, which is why I really highly recommend that families do that trial period, right? Because how someone looks on paper, how they interview could be different than how they are when they're actually in your home, following your child's routine and schedule, putting them down for naps, maybe doing some light housekeeping as well. You never know how that individual will be until you have them in your home for at least that week period and can really get that sense. And
Right.
also, I'll just say that that certainly can happen. It's not ideal, but I recognize that maybe after a month or so you just feel, hey, I don't think this is working out. Can we go back to the drawing board? Absolutely. Which is why I also say the benefit of going through an agency is that, like I said, I have 24 other folks on the team that I
Yeah.
can present to families. They can interview again, start back at square one. That is always an option.
And just remember that you need to take ownership of it too, because now you have somebody in your home that you trust, and you're usually getting home at 5 o'clock. You're not coming home till 6, 7 o'clock. You're running errands after work because you're like, oh, they don't care. So maybe sometimes that you're not vibing is because sometimes you're taking advantage of the situation as well, and you're not communicating. Communicating is key in everything that you do. And I don't want to speak for you, but these are some of the things that I vibe. You get comfortable and you step out of their comfort zone. So make sure
Yes.
that you are checking in once a week and you're having communication. Anything you want to add for that?
Yes, definitely. Yes. So I'll say when a family hires a caregiver, I am checking in, especially if it's a nanny situation, a long-term nanny. I am checking in with the parent and that caregiver every week or two to check in and hear how are things going. Particularly because also when you hire an employee, the first month may be rocky. Y'all are getting to know each other, you're communicating, hopefully, right? And so I understand that there's that period where that adjustment period. And so ultimately we are here to also help address any issues that may come up, or just check in and ensure that things are going smoothly. That's important. What I'll also share as well is that in working with an agency, we also require and provide a template of a contract that the families will ultimately have with the caregiver, right? They're your employee. And so that contract really spells out, black and white, any possible scenario, and putting some actual parameters around it. So ensuring that pay, that schedule, right? If overtime needs to happen because they're working over 40 hours a week, because, you know, maybe you said till 5, but you've really been getting home by 6, 7 every night, as Tina shared. That contract, I feel, also helps to address some of those issues up front that may come up. And also, you're hearing from me pretty consistently during the first month or so to ensure that it's working out well.
Well, I am just so impressed with everything that you have going on. As we're nearing the end of the show, give us your wrap up. Why people, give us your best, here's your elevator pitch, your best plea of why everybody should use Peace of Mind Nannies.
Everyone should use Peace of Mind Nannies because I have worked as a caregiver. I have worked in Rhode Island for over a decade, and I understand the landscape, the challenges that parents have. And since I have worked for babysitting agencies and have worked as a nanny and still work as a nanny, I understand all of the challenges under the sun that may arise. And I am the best equipped agency to be able to support your needs and your child's needs, particularly. Again, there's no other agency in Rhode Island that's specializing in care of children with disabilities, and we're prepared to help you out.
And we are just so excited. And she is just such fabulous. And just so you know, she may be at Accessibility is Beautiful this year in September of 2023. So you will get to meet her because she will be walking around and helping me out and being by my side and introducing her. Or if you need some help with your children, she will be there to answer all of your questions. I'm putting her on the spot right now, so I know she's going to be there though because
I will be there. I've
she
been there
has
the
been
past
with
two
us.
years. Yes.
Yeah, she's awesome.
It's a
Give
fantastic
us
event.
all of your give us all of your contact information one more time.
Sure. So again, my name's Taisha Sanutasi. You may reach me at peaceofmindnannies.com, or you may pick up the phone, give me a call at 401-237-7038. Lastly, I'll add that we are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're all over the place. So you can always send me messages through those platforms as well.
And if you forgot all of that, you can always contact me because she's not just somebody I'm interviewing. She's also a personal friend of mine, and she's fabulous because we mesh so well together. And what we do in life, we just get it together. So, so if you forgot all of her contact information by any means, just contact me and I will put you in touch with the fabulous Taisha and her Peace of Mind Nannies. And I'm telling you, there's no other way to go. Thank you so much, Taisha, for taking the time tonight and being with us and sharing what you do. And we are so thankful to have this kind of agency right here in our state of Rhode Island, and now soon expanding to Massachusetts. And who knows, maybe all of New England. You never know.
Thank you, Tina.
And I want to invite everybody right back here next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock because, same time, same channel. We are interviewing home mobility pros next week. So you can learn about how you can renovate your bathroom, your kitchen, full room renovation using some grant and some tax breaks and some initiatives. But home mobility pros will be our guest next week. But again, make sure you're reaching out to Peace of Mind Nannies to have peace of mind wherever your events may take you. And as I always say, don't just sit there, everybody. Make a difference. Have a great night.